another update from Portugal. It's me, Paulo and Celso.
What? Yes? Well, I guess I have a call here. Oh, it's from Anna. Hello, Anna. Oh, great. How are you? Ah, we are fine. Oh, you're having too much fun there? Oh, you'd like me to come? Oh, I guess. Okay, I guess it's no problem. Okay, I guess I'm to Holland, so bye. Ciao.
Hey, you left me alone.
Today we are finally again being joined by our good friend Celso Menaia.
Finally in the Delta.
Finally in the Delta. He's in Amsterdam, people. He helped build the boat, but he was never able to take a ride. Well, Celso, you're in the boat that you helped build. It's so glad to have you here. You're going to help build the Jeep as well. You guys ready for this?
I guess so. That's nice.
That's pretty good, eh?
Yeah.
Now I'm starting to think that maybe I just have a loose connection somewhere, like on the shunt or something, and if it suspects a spike, when there's a big amp spike, it'll cut back until it's constant, and then it'll give again.
Hey, we can check all the connections.
It's probably always a good idea.
Yeah.
We'll find some half-burned,
Burn terminal.
terminal. Well, not the battery connections are good. It's probably, if anywhere, it's like in the high volt board, the shunt, or the contactor, putting the one shunt, one half to the other. There could be something like this.
Or even in the controllers.
Yeah. Well, hey EVTV, here we are back at the shop, giving you that weekly EVTV Amsterdam update. Like you saw in the boat, we're here with our good friend Celso Menaia, and to start off this week's segment, I'll let him talk about what are you doing here?
Well, what I'm doing here, same as last year. I have some batteries to balance, and this time even more.
Yep.
96 100 amp hour batteries that are going into the Jeep. So when we are now bottom balancing the batteries, they are all in series, taking out the bulk of the charge.
Yes.
And after they are down a bit, we will start individually seeing that they are all balanced and make sure that we have nice and good bottom balanced batteries.
Perfect. And are we at some point going to be doing some of these strips of parallels?
Yeah. That is the last thing to do, right? So when we are them very closely together in the bottom, we strap them all in parallel to make sure that they got the final tenth of a thousand of a volt.
Right. And you know, the thing is, and in the last year, and I've heard some people talk about this as well, the one thing I was worried about, if we're going to do the last piece in the parallel, is how do we find, if there is one, this one that is, you know, a little weaker than the rest, and maybe 1 in 200 or more, we'll have to find this soft short. Now, to my thinking, the reason that we will find it is because we're starting with the series. So if there is one lower already, we have it labeled.
Yeah.
If it's misbehaving, we're putting it separate, not in the parallel groups.
If we at this stage find a cell that is quite different from all the others, we put it aside and test it individually to see if it has a short, a soft short or not. A soft short.
And by testing individually, I think what we mean is we're taking it down to 2.7 at a certain load, and then we leave it on a monitor overnight.
Yeah, overnight or over a couple of days to see if the voltage starts to come down after that threshold.
Yeah.
And if it starts to come down, is the indication that we have a soft short.
Right. If it doesn't, it just means that, hey, Juan, or whatever the Chinese version of Juan is, left the factory early that day, and this batch of cells has a slightly lower state of charge from the box.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably is that.
Probably is this. So that's what's happening on the battery table front. At the same time, Celso will be helping us out with all the final wiring as well. We have a high voltage box that I'll show you some pictures of that we're looking at. And like you saw at the start of this segment, we were out in the Delta. Fun?
Yeah, lots of fun. First time in the Delta, actually.
For the guy who built the boat, it's like, come on, it was time for him to get a ride, to get wet. You did. But also, we've been having a bit of an intermittent, weird, let's call it a throttle issue. We're not 100% sure what it is yet. So I'll show you. We now have the back of the boat opened up. I've actually often logged the master controller, but it is a dual controller setup. And the slave controller log wiring, or the connection to hook up the log, hadn't been there yet. So we are, today in the process of hooking that up and seeing if there's any stored errors in the messaging. And otherwise, we're going to start hunting down maybe a chafed wire. Like Celso told me this week, electrical failures. It is either
a short circuit or a bad or loose connection.
So anything will come back to this. If not, we have a software issue. So, hey, we'll see. That's the magic third in that case. What else is happening in evtv Amsterdam world? Well, so the last couple of weeks, there's been two main subjects going on in evtv. One is there's going to be this big market of secondhand parts, and do we or don't we, or do we want to have, we do, the right to repair, to use these parts either for projects or to keep our expensive vehicles on the road. The other thing is our access, the evtv Army access to CHAdeMO charging, both on the vehicle side, but also, of course, on the charging side. So what we find to be, well, not the Holy Grail, but what we would like to be able to do is to be able to offer the charging side as well, and to preferably not have to take it from three-phase, but to go straight to a DC bus.
Straight from a batteries.
Straight from a batteries. Because the Yazaki, which is the plug that Jack has recently put out on the shop, they also make the plugging side. They don't own the protocol, I guess, but at least, or do they have licensing of the protocol?
No, the licensing belongs to CHAdeMO.
Right.
It's a group of...
It's the organization, basically in Japan. Exactly. But most of CHAdeMO things, like Jack has said, if you would want to or be able to buy them, you're taking it from a three-phase source, and you're spending upwards of 50,000 just to even get it, and a lot part of that is going to be licensing. Well, we would like to cut out the middleman as for a source and go straight to the DC bus. And if at all possible, we'd like to cut out the middleman in the sense of the licensing cost for, basically plastic and copper.
Yeah.
Mark it up 1,000 times. The exciting thing that ties into all this news is that not last week we had a good friend of ours in Sweden, also a buddy of Chris Fisher, Mr. Per Eklund, saying hi to you right now. He runs a company called Highbeam, import-export and electronics. He found a Nissan Leaf that had conveniently folded itself around a tree in Sweden, and the salvage yard was very willing and able to take out the battery and sell it to us. I didn't have a direct need for it myself, but I know this party here in Holland that not only leases electric vehicles, but they're trying to set up a DC-sourced battery charging station along the highway using CHAdeMO. So this is our Nissan Leaf battery pack that came in from Sweden, where it was salvaged from a Leaf that had bounced into a tree, but the pack was fine. The car only had 9,000 kilometers on it. All the voltages were checked by our friend Per Eklund of Highbeam in Sweden, and it was sent here, which Mr. Green will be using it as a DC power source for their CHAdeMO charging station. And here's Max for Mr. Green, and we're gonna put it into his bag. So doesn't this all tie in nicely? Well, we imported this battery, sold it onto them at zero markup, mind you, just for the chance to get an opportunity and a look at all the hardware they're playing with. Yeah. Well, it seems to have worked out. Mm-hmm. because tomorrow we will be picking up a fully operational but now defunct set of CHAdeMO charging hardware. There's 3 big inverters, I guess like one for every phase or something.
Yeah.
It's something
We
like
have to
this
look at
probably.
it.
We have to look at it. We'll see what it does tomorrow. But then everything's there. It's from the inverter side. There's the DC bus. There's the charge ports. There's probably the protocol in there. So we are going to have a look at it. And not only do they have this, but they have actually over 280 kilowatt hours of batteries sitting still in the form of 15 T0 Tazari vehicles. So next Monday, one of them will show up. We're angling and have probably received the assignment of taking out all the batteries.
Yeah, see if they are good or not, and see if we can use them in other projects. Or
Now, to some people, that might sound like, having a root canal or watching paint dry. I think it makes you happy, though.
yeah, batteries.
So they're all Winston. They're not Winston, actually. They're Thunder Skies, and but there's less than 3 or 4 calendar years on them.
Yeah.
They didn't have that much kilometers in the vehicle. Their battery murdering system did the job. They are completely, at least some cells in there are murdered, so the vehicles are not comfortable to be used anymore. So all in all, we will tie it up and say we have some CHAdeMO hardware that we get to play with. There's some secondhand stuff floating around, and we're going to get our fingers all in there, aren't we?
Yes, we're going.
Absolutely. Okay, well, that's it for evtv Amsterdam this week. I hope you guys are building, because we are.
We are building a lot.
Cool, man. See you later.